Hello students, today we are going to study Nissim Ezekiel's poem Night of the Scorpion. This is the Scorpion, Night of the Scorpion. Uh, the poem Night of the Scorpion. In this lecture we are going to read the introductory part of the poem. In the next video we will discuss the poem itself. In the poem, The Night of the Scorpion, the poet depicts the selfless love of a mother who is stung by a scorpion. She suffers a lot because of the pain, but still she is happy that the scorpion did not bite her children. The poet goes back to the night when his mother is bitten by a scorpion. By hearing this incident, the villagers came into the poet's house like swarms of flies to console the family. They prayed to God countless times to immobilize the evil creature. The villagers with lights and lanterns started to search for the scorpion, but in vain. They also spread a lot of superstitious observations. They observed that if the scorpion moves, the poison in the blood of the mother moves. So, with the movement of scorpion, the poison also moves into the blood of the mother. So they found it is necessary for the scorpion to stay still. Some villagers are of the opinion that the pain she suffers reduces the sufferings of her next life. And another philosophical interpretation the villagers give is that the pain she suffers may purify her desires and ambitions. So the poem is all about a night, description of a night where the speaker tells the story from his childhood in which his mother was bitten by a scorpion. The poem begins with a simple declaration: I remember the night my mother was stung by a scorpion, and the scorpion had entered the speaker's home because it wanted to hide from the rain. When it bit the speaker's mother, it was hiding beneath a sack of rice. The speaker describes the incident in which the scorpion stings his mother without mentioning his mother at all. Instead, he focuses on the scorpion and what he did immediately afterward, parting his poison with his flesh or diabolic tail in the dark room enters the rain again. This poem is about a night where the mother was stung by the scorpion, and there are all kind of treatments given to the mother, and ultimately when she regains or recovers from this sting of poison, she just thanks God for sparing her children and the scorpion had bitten on her. The poem was published as a part of the exact name uh, demonstrates a new and emergent aesthetic in Ezekiel's poetry, whereas his early poems conformed to his a strict meter and rhyme. Later poems like Night of the Scorpion adopts a natural colloquial meter and tone. This poem was published in a time when Ezekiel was making a deliberate attempt at formal innovation by using a loose, seemingly free verse structure for his narrative poems. Additionally, Ezekiel stopped putting capitals at the beginning of each line, which allows his later poems to flow much more easily on the page. The fact that Ezekiel distances himself from formal poetic conventions does not imply a lack of care when it comes to the form of Night of the Scorpion. In fact, Ezekiel makes deliberate choices about line breaks, enjambment, voice, chronology, and tone in this poem, which gives it the effect on the reader that made it so famous to begin with. And there is only one line break in this poem, which occurs right after the speaker's mother is released from her suffering after the 20 hours. It lost its tongue. My mother only said, "Thank God the scorpion picked on me and spared my children." So, as we all know, the poem is about the the scorpion. Now, let's discuss a brief introduction of the poet, and in the later part of the lecture, we will discuss the poem itself. So Nissim Ezekiel is an Indian poet who is famous for writing his poetry in English. He had a long career spanning more than 40 years, during which he drastically influenced the literary scene in India. Many scholars see his first collection of poetry, A Time to Change, published when he was only 28 years old, as a turning point in the post colonial Indian literature towards modernism. Ezekiel was born in 1924 in Bombay to a Jewish family. They were part of Mumbai's Marathi speaking Jewish community known as Beni Israel. Uh, his father taught botany at Wilson College, and his mother was the principal of a school. Ezekiel graduated with his bachelor's degree in 1947. In 1948, he moved to England and studied philosophy in London, and he stayed for 3.5 years until working his way on home on a ship. Upon his return, he quickly joined the literary scene in India. He became an assistant editor for his Illustrated Weekly in 1953. He founded a monthly literary magazine in print in 1961. He became an art critic of the Times of India. He also edited Poetry India from 1966 to 67. Throughout his career, he published poetry and some plays. He was a professor of English and a reader in American literature at Bombay University in the 1990s, and the secretary of Indian branch of the International Writers Organization (PEN). PEN. Ezekiel was also a mentor for the next generation of poets, including John Morris, Adil Jashuwala, Jeev Patel. Ezekiel received the Sahitya Academy Cultural Award in 1983, and he also received the Padma Shri, India's highest honor for civilians, in 1988. Ezekiel died in 2004 after a long battle against Alzheimer's disease. At the time of his death, he was considered the most famous and influential Indian poet who wrote in English. Despite the fact that he wrote in English, Ezekiel's poem primarily examined themes associated with daily life in India. Through his career, his poems become more and more situated in India until they become nothing else but Indian. Ezekiel has been criticized in the past as not being authentically Indian on account of his Jewish background and urban outlook. Ezekiel himself writes about this in 1976 essay entitled Naipaul's India and My, in which he disagrees with another poet, V.S. Naipaul, about the critical voice with which he writes about India. While I am not a Hindu and my background makes me a natural outsider, Ezekiel writes. Circumstances and decisions relate me to India. In other countries, I am a foreigner. In India, I am an Indian. When I was 18, a friend asked me what my ambition was, and I said, with the naive modesty of youth, to do something for India. We can see this attitude at work in Ezekiel's poetry. Even when his poems are satirical, they come from a voice of a loving insider rather than someone who is looking from outside. In this way, Ezekiel's poems are quintessentially Indian because they exist there. Ezekiel writes, India is simply my environment. A man can do something for and his environment by being fully what he is, by not withdrawing from it, and I have not withdrawn from India. So this is all about Ezekiel and about the brief introduction of the poem, and in the next lecture we will discuss the poem The Night of the Scorpion. Thank you so much.